Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Wisconsin Investor. And today, as usual, I have another awesome guest for you guys. Today's guest is pretty special to me, and I'll tell you why here in a few minutes. But before I do that, as I do always, I want to give you a little commercial for our sponsor, Wisconsin Discount Properties. Uh, we put out deals every single week to your inbox, 6 a.m., anywhere from 1 to 6 deals a week. And these are not just deals that we're putting out there that you can't make money on. We don't put it out to the buyers list unless there's a way to make some money on this thing. And so if you're interested in getting off market deals and you're like, gosh, I can't find a deal where I want to do deals, I just cannot find a deal that works. Check out the list. And what I would encourage you to do is something we're doing with a lot of people now that are not able to make the numbers work on these is we are setting up free coaching calls to go through your numbers with you, because people are buying these deals. And that means that if you're not buying these deals, they're making money and you're not. And so let's figure out what are the things holding you back from being able to get deals. So if you want to get in on some deals, some off-market deals, go to wisconsindiscountproperties.com. If you want to be on the buyers list and you're not yet, you just put your information in right on the homepage. If you're not ready to start getting deals yet, you just are in that beginning phase and you just want to talk to some people and kind of figure out if real estate investing in this area is for you, go to the contact us and just fill out the form there, and somebody from our team will reach out to you and have a conversation. With that, let's get into today's episode. So the gentleman that I'm bringing to you guys today was a key part of Carrie and I's journey of getting started in real estate investing. So Mike's got a special place in my heart for everything that the relationship that we've had over the years and continue to have to this day. I think we got started in 2016 is when I met Mike, and met him through a Craigslist ad, actually, for a duplex that he was selling of his own at that point. And that just blossomed into a friendship and to so many different things that we've done. And Mike's got such a great depth of experience in the real estate industry in all facets. So I am super excited to be bringing you today, Mike Boyea. Mike, what's going on, brother?
How's it going? I'm doing great.
Good,
Finally
good,
got a
good.
little sun, enjoying the Wisconsin weather.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's get into today's episode. So I wanted to bring you on. I guess first of all, you've been in real estate longer than I have. So I want you just to kind of tell everybody in the audience your background and how you got started in this game, how long you've been in it, and we'll start there.
Yeah, the background actually started fresh out of moving out of my parents' house after high school.
Okay.
I moved into an apartment building. I realized right off the bat that apartment living was not for me. Um, Plus, being an 18-year-old and people telling me I have to be quiet and everything. And
Mhm.
I was like, well, maybe I should buy my own place. So my first journey, it started off trying to buy a distressed mobile home. I
Okay.
was unable to get financing for a distressed mobile home.
Yeah.
18 years old. Everybody's like, that's actually basically the same as a car. Tried all the institutions.
Mhm.
And finally, my father said, well, why don't you go meet with a realtor? And the realtor put me in touch with a lender to
Okay.
buy this mobile home. The lender's like, you're not buying this mobile home, but why don't we pre-approve you for a house?
Ah,
So the first property I bought was actually a side-by-side duplex, distressed hoarder house. It was a great investment. It was
okay.
amazing, and that helped it helped launch my career into real estate.
Okay. Was this in '08 when you bought it? '07?
No, this was in '03.
Oh, three. Oh, that's right. I'm like, we're like the same age. So I'm trying to figure out like math wise, but yes, college. And then before that. Okay. So, wow.
Yeah.
So you've been in
So
this for over 20 years.
instead of college, I had a party house.
Yeah. Hey, it worked out pretty well for you. I think that was probably a good decision. So you mean you got into real estate investing and you didn't go to college for this, Mike? You can do that?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting.
It's
Uh,
it started off. I just started reading books. I went to Barnes and Noble, and real estate really piqued my interest. So I picked up a book. I can't even remember the name of it, like How to Get Rich with Real Estate
mhm.
Investing, um, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I just started going through books and kind of, I don't want to say fantasizing, but imagining houses. Like I'd look at these houses in magazines, and I'm like, God, one day, and I just started trying to learn how to get there.
Yeah. So you put the big vision out in front of yourself, and then you started to like work it backwards into steps
Yes.
that you need to go through today. I think that's such a good point for the audience out there. A lot of times, if I'm doing a coaching call with somebody on our team or somebody who's interested in getting into real estate, that's one of the things I want to know. Is like, why do you want to do this? Because it's not easy, right, Mike? I mean, it looks easy after you do it all, and you're like, you can look back and you're like, oh yeah, look at how easy that was. But there's a lot of steps that go into it that I think once you're in it for 2 decades like yourself, you kind of forget maybe some of the stuff that you had to go through to get
Yeah.
yourself in a position where you are now, where you can just turn and burn deals
Hmm.
without having to think about it. But you had to have that big vision originally to push through all that tough stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of pushing, I remember one of my visions was never to work for anybody and to push a lawnmower around at my properties.
I
To this day, I do not push a lawnmower around, but
was
at
gonna
the
say how many lawns did you push that lawnmower around at?
time, at, when I was younger, all of them.
Okay, so you did do it for a while. Okay,
Yes.
okay, yeah, you were in the hustle grind phase, right?
Yes.
Originally, yeah, that's interesting. So over the 2 decades, you also became a real estate agent. When did that happen?
Yes. I actually became a real estate agent shortly after buying my first couple of properties. I looked at that as an opportunity to come across more properties and to meet other individuals in the industry that were doing it. And
Okay.
that's, if I give any advice to anybody, it's not necessarily get a real estate license. It's surround yourself with people that are in the industry, whatever industry that may be, real estate or otherwise, or whatever facet of real estate that you want to be in. Surround yourself with people that are doing it because they're going to give you more advice and they're going to shorten your knowledge, the time gap for your knowledge.
For sure. Yeah. And we talk about that pretty much every episode. So those of you that listen to every episode, network, right? Your net worth is
Mm-hmm.
your network or your net. I always get it mixed up. I really should figure out which way it's supposed to be said because I always mix it up. But you get the idea, surround yourself with a lot of people. But I guess I want to ask you that question, Mike, in your opinion now. So if I'm new to the real estate industry or I've done a few deals, do you think it's helpful to get your real estate license for some people, or do you think it's more of a distraction? What is your viewpoint?
It
If their
depends on
goal
people.
is if their goal is investing, let me paraphrase. Let me preference that.
I I'm really indifferent.
Okay.
In the beginning of my career, I utilized my real estate license a lot more. It allowed me the opportunity to access individuals and talk about real estate. It wasn't like I was making a lot of money doing it, but I
Mm-hmm.
got to meet a lot of people. Going back to like Rich Dad Poor Dad, you go get a job where you're the intern somewhere just so you can gain knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the real estate license similar to that, but that doesn't mean you need a real estate license to surround yourself with other individuals.
Good
Um,
distinction.
so early in the career, yes, I utilized it quite a bit. Um, Now later, after doing it for so many years, I don't really utilize my real estate license in a traditional manner.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, and I think your answer is spot on because I get asked that a lot, and I always tell them, like, I don't know, it depends. What do you want to do? And I've seen it. I've seen it work. Really slow people down who were really hot on investing, and then they get caught up in becoming, a buyer's agent or trying to understand all the laws and the rules and all this kind of stuff. Where if they would have just stayed in the investing lane and just focused on investing and became really good at that, they
Yes.
probably would have been able to get to the goal a lot faster. But then again, who knows? Everybody's journey is a little bit different, right? Maybe they had to go that way in order to learn something that was going to help them down the road. I don't know.
And
So,
and and I will say this. I lost almost everything during the market crash, and some of
mm,
it was due to my fault. Some of it was due to just bad timing, just bad. I made poor decisions.
mm,
Paying a guy on land contract, and he foreclosed on it, and I'm like, oh, what do I do with this property? I had
yeah.
arson. I had a couple of things that had happened, and real estate having a real estate license allowed me to generate income while still working on something that I really enjoyed yet.
Mm,
So for me, that was sort of part of it as well.
yep.
I wasn't going to go get a job as like a handyman or anything like that. I was like, well, what can I do that still allows me to run deals. It might be for other people, but at
Mm,
least then I can still run numbers. I can still run deals. I can still look at these properties, even though I wasn't able to purchase them at the time. And that was also a limiting belief. Probably could have bought more houses than I ever could
yeah.
use or turn at that time, but that was a limiting belief I had at that time.
Yeah.
But I still worked in real estate.
Yeah. And what's interesting, like, I don't know if I knew you at this point. I wanted to get into real estate investing, and I don't remember if we had already started or not. I think it was before we really got into it. It was before we got into real estate investing, but I was hanging out with Tony Breuer from Good Faith Funding.
Yeah.
I got to know him through a networking group that I belonged to for a fitness company that I had started. And I remember like I was just exactly what you said. I'm like, I need to be around people who are doing this. Like I need to
Hmm.
just suck their knowledge in and just sponge it in. And I don't care what I'm doing as long as I'm around these people all day long. And he was like my idol at the time. He had like 50 doors or something. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine 50 doors, but I got to figure out how to do this. Right. And so I went and I got licensed to be a mortgage broker. So I went through part time, like I was working full time and I was doing this like part time getting licensed. And then I remember I went out with him and the company he worked for at the time doing standard mortgages before he went big into the hard money stuff. And went through this whole training thing, this weekend thing. It was great. Came back, I got like officially licensed and I went in for like my first day of like being like a mortgage broker. And I remember like I put somebody's, information in to fill out their app and stuff like that. And it like denied them. And I was like, I just spent how much time getting this person to fill this stuff out, and now I can't even get them alone. And they're like, "Yeah," I was like, "How much would I have made on this?" And I don't remember what the amount was, but it wasn't enough for the amount of work that I had to go through to try to get this
Yeah.
person approved. And I'm like, you know what, Tony, I don't think this is for me. So literally, I worked with them for like 3 hours, and I was like, all right, I'm out of here. I gotta go. I gotta do something else. So I went through the whole licensing thing and everything else to use it for 3 hours. So, but the idea is the same. I wanted so badly to be in this that I was willing to go through and get licensed as a mortgage
Mhm.
broker just to be able to sit next to him to learn from him anything I could about real estate. So even though it didn't work out the way we thought, I still learned a lot of stuff from him
It
after that.
actually worked out better when
Yeah,
you realized what you didn't want to do.
exactly. I also did the same thing in commercial insurance too. Just a year prior to that, I went and got licensed for commercial insurance. So I was just getting licensed for all this crap and never used it. But
I
anyway,
was licensed for Primerica, selling
oh,
insurance.
there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Classic. What does the real estate business look like now? Like, do you have a rental portfolio? How many units? How many flips you do in a year? Like, tell us a little bit about new construction. You're kind of in a lot of different
Mhm.
things. So tell the audience a little bit about what is Mike 2 decades after that first side by side duplex look like in his business.
So currently, the rental portfolio consists of just over 50 doors.
Nice.
It's a mixture of midterm, short term, and long term rentals. A couple small apartment buildings, and then with the fix and flip, we did 43 fix and flips last year.
Wow.
This year, we're probably going to do north of 60, probably 70 fix and flips this year.
Wow.
And then for the new construction, the goal is 8 new construction. So I'm gonna try for 10, but the goal is 8.
Wow. That's incredible, dude. You're killing it. Like
Thank
it's
you.
that's more than I realized you've been doing. So that's awesome. How do you go from buying a side by side duplex to doing 60 flips a year and new construction and 50 doors? Like, how does somebody listening to this that's just getting started? How do they? What are the steps or what are the things that had to happen in order for you to be able to get to this point?
Um, Early on, a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
I had to fail myself forward quite often, humble myself quite often. Um, the lights turned off, not due to like not paying WPS, just yeah, just very look back, very poor decisions on
Okay.
my behalf.
Okay.
But what that did was it taught me what I didn't want to do anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me a lot of valuable life lessons. Um, it taught me what type of tenants do I want. Taught me what type of properties do I want to buy. What type of people do I want to hang out with that are going to help grow your mind and grow you
Mm-hmm.
as a person. Attribute um, a, I attribute quite a bit of my real estate career to actually working with you and watching what you had done and being by your side during a lot of the beginning phases of your business. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think it was just you, myself, and Carrie. I don't even know if Jessica was on the team yet
Yeah.
when we started working together. So, like watching that grow over the course of years, and you really forced me to mature as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in that regard, that tough love and the it wasn't necessarily forcing. I was very open to everything, and it was just like, okay, how much time are you spending to better yourself? How much time are you spending to better your business? How much time are you spending? And it's allotting that time, and then also making sure you're nurturing friendships and doing nurturing family, friends, and a lot of that, what that taught me was that I could, because I was very scared to get back deep into real estate investing after
Mm.
losing everything.
Okay.
And what that did was that actually pushed me to be successful, because I'm like, well, Corey's right here. I don't want to say holding my hand, but holding my hand and getting ready to push me off a bridge at the same time. Like, come on, let's go. And like I had faith in what we were doing, and what that did with that allowed me to take the leap. Um, Maybe it was on my own, maybe not, but I know there was definitely a healthy shove.
I see, and I don't even remember shoving you at any point, but I
No, but
mean, it's
yeah, we had good conversations, but because you told me, you're like, what the hell? Why are you not? I would go on acquisition appointments for you, and then I wouldn't even bid on the property, and I know the most about the property more than anybody else that has
yeah,
been on the property. I know everything about it, and you're like, you're in real estate, you know all the contractors.
right,
Like, what are
yeah,
you doing? And
yeah,
yeah, it was like, what are you doing?
yeah.
So I did it.
Yeah, and I think to kind of go back to the networking piece of this, right? It's like get around people who are pushing you, right, and
Yeah.
are gonna force you to be better because there's you can get in your own head real easy in this game.
Hmm.
You start looking at some of the numbers and it can become overwhelming. I remember my first deal, Mike. Uh, it was I think we got it off market, so it was before we got involved with you. But you kind of spurred us into it. Like you started looking at stuff right around that same time frame. We went and looked
Yep.
at your duplex and all that, but we got an off market deal, and I remember I wanted to close in like 2 weeks, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I wanted to like sabotage the deal because I was freaking out. Like I'm like, what if the numbers don't work? I'm gonna be poor. I'm gonna be living under a bridge. Like oh my gosh, my kids are they're not gonna be able to eat, and I mean just the amount of negative chatter that can
Yes.
enter your brain. But being around people who have done it, like then going back to Tony, I'm like. I call Tony up and I was like, Tony, I'm freaking out. Like, I got to close on this thing in 2 weeks. What if it doesn't? Blah, 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 blah. And he's just like, dude, who cares? Like, then go do another deal and make the money up. It's
Yeah.
easy. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, Tony. Like, then I go back to doing. Okay, I'm off the ledge now. All right, I can move forward with this thing. But it's easy to talk yourself out of this game
Yeah.
too, real quick, if you don't have
I
those
think
people
I
pushing you.
I think I remember what property you're talking about. I thought you made like 5 grand on it, and it was like, I think if it's that same one that I'm thinking of.
Well, we did a couple right in a row. So it went like we did no deal, no deal, no deal for like 4 months, like nothing, crickets. And then all of a sudden we bought a duplex, wholesale the deal, did our old house as a land contract or a rent to own with a dude. And then I think we did JV. We did some kind of JV like seller financing thing with somebody else that was in one of the RIA groups. And yeah, it was kind of like we started doing the buffet of real estate within like 2 months, and then all of a sudden, like you were in the mix, like helping us find our next deal, and that's when we found a fourplex. You found us a fourplex
Hmm.
that was in foreclosure, which
Yeah.
that doesn't happen very much anymore, and
No.
and then we flipped that one, and I think we made like 25,000 on that thing, and then we kind of were like, why aren't we flipping more properties? I could get out of my job way quicker. That was my goal when I
Hmm.
started, was to get out of my job. So yeah, so it's kind of a wild first year in real estate. We just kind of did a whole bunch of stuff. Got to taste test everything, you know, in that
Dove right in.
investment. Dove right in, man. Dove right in. What are some of the challenges now? You're running a pretty big operation now, doing 60 flips a year, some new construction. You got a lot of different things
Mhm.
happening. How are you managing all that stuff? And like, what are some of the biggest challenges as you try to continue to grow and scale in this current environment that we're in?
I'd say the biggest challenge currently is people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whether it's staff, whether it's contractors, uh, that I find is the biggest challenge and obstacle to overcome. along with um, staying energized. I
Mm-hmm.
know sometimes there's like weeks where you just grind real hard, and it's like you have to turn yourself off for a little bit to get away, and like you have to recharge because it's like it is very extensive and there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
But by putting right people in place, what I'm learning is the more right people I put in place, the more that they can do it better than I can.
Yeah.
And even if they did it at 75%, they're 100% of their efforts going to it, whereas a smaller portion of my efforts able to go to that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the people, it's surrounding yourself with really good people once again.
Yeah.
Um,
When did you make your first hire, Mike? Do you remember when that was?
my first hire was Haley, and that was 20. My first hire in real estate. I had other employees in other businesses I had ran,
Okay.
but my first employee in real estate, I believe, was 2018,
Okay. Yep. I think
2017.
okay. I think I remember that. Yeah. What was some of the things that pushed you to make that first hire, and then what were some of the things that held you from hiring anybody in real estate until, gosh, that's 15 years after you started pretty much.
Uh, what had held me back was just the mindset, the limiting belief of, do I have enough work for this person? What can
Mm,
this person do? And after hiring, I realized that I probably should have done it years prior, because then what that allows you to do is to do what you enjoy.
right.
And and even to this day, as you grow, you start learning, like you get into real estate investing because you're like, oh, I want to be a real estate investor. At this stage in my career, I'm empowering others and teaching others and trying to
Mm,
help others.
mhm,
It's a lot less of doing the actual, you know, I don't even go to a lot of these properties.
mhm,
I'm not involved at all in the properties at all. But what I am doing is I'm empowering people, or even if it's individuals that are coming to me that are asking questions and want to learn.
mhm,
I'm an open book. I'd rather help people and help them succeed, um, in real estate
mhm.
or in any type of business. I mean, people come to me for advice in a lot of things, and however I can help them, I want to give back as much as possible.
Yeah, well, I think that's something you see across some of the people who, in the eyes of somebody just starting, are maybe the most successful in this business or any business. So people who are constantly just giving, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's you got to protect your time. So there's a balance, right? As
Yeah,
you start to get your name out there, more people start to find out more. Like, oh my gosh, this person's doing this, this, this. Everybody wants to pick your brain or take you to lunch or do these types of things,
yeah,
which is great. It's awesome. And when I started, I did the same thing. I was like, hey man, can I take you to lunch? Can I do this? And now I understand why some people maybe didn't. It's not that they don't want to help. It's just they got to protect their time.
yeah,
But you're always finding ways to give. And I think that's what's made you so successful. I mean, I remember that was the thing when we started with you. It was always like, Mike, what do you think of this? Like, what do we do about this? Like, we are always
mm-hmm.
leaning on you because you had all this experience and we learned so much from you and your experience in the business as we got started in it. And again, it's kind of going back. We just keep beating this drum of that network, find people who are willing to give back. I remember Caleb Hayes, another one who runs the Keller Williams branch that you're at.
Yeah,
Huge giver. I mean, gave us we would meet with him monthly for like a year, and
yeah,
he never asked for anything. Not he didn't ask us to join us, nothing. Just coached us for free. I was like, this is insane. I don't think he's still doing that, but who knows? I don't know. It was wild to me, but it always came back around. Like I was always thinking, like when we come up with a deal, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if Caleb would want this deal,
yeah,
because he gave us so much. So that's important for all of you guys listening. If you've got some experience, give back, help somebody
mm-hmm.
behind you. And on the flip side of that, if you're just starting out, find somebody who's willing to give. And going to networking events. I talk about the REI Success Club on here. That's one that we run in Green
Yeah,
Bay. There's Caffeine and Cash Flow across the state. There's RIA groups across the state. Like, get involved in those if you're looking for a network, and be intentional when you go to those and find some people that you can learn from and grow with and that are willing to help you out. And in real estate, it's a small world, man. Everybody knows everybody, and the deals
yes,
get done all the time from just networking. Like, I might have money that I want to lend right now. Mike might call me and say, Corey, I'm strapped. I got 60 flips going. You got some cash you can lend me on this the 61st one I need, and because of the relationship, no problem, Mike. Here you go. Right? You don't have to go to a bank. Don't have to deal with that. You know, hey, I need a electrician. Who do you work with? We always pass stuff back and forth, and we've done that for years. So I think that's an important point to get across here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How speaking of financing stuff, Mike, how are you financing all these deals? What's the because I imagine you got to have some pretty good relationships, either with some private money or some banks, or how is that happening that you're able to keep, have all of these properties kind of going simultaneously and be able to fund them?
So a couple things. Having the rental portfolio allowed me to open up a line of credit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my first line that I will use. When the line of credit is exhausted, then I have about a handful of hard money lenders, private funding, and then after that, I still have some local banks that I deal with. I actually, for all the banks out there, sorry, but I usually like to go private before I go to a bank because
Oh, they understand.
the bank's at 7.5, maybe 8, whereas I'd rather pay a little bit more and not deal with the appraisals, and I'd rather a quick close and easy,
Yes.
the easy button. Just let me have smack that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I'll go to the banks, and then after that, I have some institutional money that's right around the same price as the hard money, but it's going through the same hoops as the banks essentially.
Okay. When you say institutional money, what do you mean by that?
There's larger funds out there. Like one of them that I use is Dominion, and
Mm-hmm.
what they do is it's hard money pricing with the BS fees that the banks charge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's I mean I'll use it in a pinch. If you get a good enough deal, it doesn't matter what you're paying for your money.
Right, exactly. Yeah, there's several out there, and that's something I always talk about too. Is having different buckets of money, right? So what you've done is done the same thing. You've got your private money, you've got your commercial banks or community banks. Is what I sometimes refer them to them as your private money, hard money,
Mhm.
community bank. You got the institutional or the national lenders. So you've got several options. So one of the things talk to people about all the time, you never want to pass on a good deal just because you don't have financing set up,
Yeah.
right? So get a bunch of different options, get a bunch of lines in the water, be ready to pull from whatever bucket you can or need to. The HELOC is my favorite tool in real estate, and being able to use it on investment properties is just such a powerful tool. I mean, it's incredible how much that can unlock for people to be able to use it. What you could do is you could take that HELOC, you could pair that with community banks, right? And
Mhm.
they might want 20% down. Well, there you go. You take the 20% from your HELOC, boom, there's your 20% down. Plus you got your rehab from your HELOC. There you go. You're covered, and off you go. Right.
And
What
there's friends and families HELOCs also.
friends and
We have
families
friends and
HELOCs?
families that have paid off properties and they're not accruing any wealth from their properties. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
would you like to make anywhere from 8 to 12% on this?
Yeah. Yeah. What are you typically paying? What do you find in private lenders are willing to take right now? What is their
Between 8 and 12%.
okay?
Eight's
And
like a sweetheart deal that they don't have very much that they can borrow, but when they do, it's at 8%.
sure. Yeah. So somebody who's got a little bit more capital, you're willing to pay a little bit more for that ease of not having to just use a little
Yes.
chunk of it, kind of a thing. Yeah, that
Yep.
makes sense. That makes sense. And what I found too, Mike, I just started to realize this because we don't do a ton of flips. We're starting to do a lot more that we're taking down and listing now. Um, But what I found is like some of the commercial banks that I love working with them because we have great relationships. But when I look at the closing statement, all of a sudden I've got a $1,500 origination fee. I've got this fee. I've got a lender policy. I've got all this other stuff. And when I add it up, I'm like, it's about the same as if I just paid somebody 10% or 12% flat
Or even if you
private
pay
lender.
points, if you pay points
Right.
on top of it, it when you run the numbers for the ease, like what's that ease worth? Is it you're buying a $200,000 property? Let's just say you have to pay a couple points. Well, you're going to pay the points to the community bank anyway.
Right.
The
Yep.
community bank ended up pushing your closing out 45, maybe 60 days. So now you lost that opportunity potentially to do the property during prime real, like right now is a prime time to get a property listed.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And now you could miss out on the market that you want to be in.
Yep.
And you could, just because you're trying to save a couple $1,000s, it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Yeah. As you're talking about this, I have a deal right now that I'm like, I should just talk to some of the private lender people I know and just instead of, I would keep going through these community banks, but they want to do exactly that. They want to move the closing back 15 days. They got to get appraisal. They got to do all this other stuff. And it's a smoking deal. It's like, this should just be common sense. Yep. Here's your money. There you go. So that's so good, man. What are some of the other big struggles now? You said people. Okay. What about you as a leader? How has that become? Because when you started out, you were a one man band,
Mm-hmm.
running and gunning, classic entrepreneur maverick style sales guy.
Yes.
Just nobody to answer to, nobody to worry about, just going out and making stuff happen. Right now, you start bringing people on your team, and now you have to grow as a leader. Like, what are some of the challenges with that? Because I think that could be another limiting belief. I know for me, I still struggle with that sometimes with our team. Is like, am I really worthy enough to be running a team of 15, 20 people? Like, who am
Yeah.
I? All that kind of stuff. So how have you juggled that, and what have been some of the challenges as you've kind of grown into being the leader of this organization now?
A lot of reading and going back to the networking, talking to other people that are doing it at a high level.
Mm,
What should I do? Asking questions. Uh, what do you do about this situation? What do you do about that situation? And some of the people in my sphere, they might not run their own business, but maybe they're a manager of a division at another company,
mm-hmm.
but they have leadership training. And since I pay for some training, which helps me, but some of their training, they might go to spend a week at Disney on management training, and I'm like, I don't know what that costs, but I hear it's one of the best training for employees as a manager that you can go to.
Okay.
So like I can pick their brain. They went to these events and then picking their brains.
Yeah.
It's leaning on friends and family. And hey, what would you do in this situation? Am I being unreasonable, unfair? Am I in the right? Am I in the wrong? And then also trying to maintain a level of they don't see what's happening on the background in the background. They don't
Mm,
see me running deals at night when they're getting dinner. They don't see me getting up early so I can do stuff. So it's like trying to create enough of a presence to keep it motivating,
mm,
but then also trying to take time for myself.
So juggling. So you're trying to be the leader out there and lead by example, but then also you're trying to, like you said, it can be an energy suck after a while, right?
Yeah.
So you got to unplug a little bit and reground and re-energize. And yeah, I think what's interesting, like Carrie and I go on, we try to travel quite a bit, and we try to travel without the kids at least a few times a year, just her and I. And it's always interesting. Like we go on these little getaways, or like we went to Kohler a couple months ago and just did like a weekend at Kohler, and totally just like relaxing spa dinners, that kind of thing. But we had so much clarity, like just being able to step away once in a while and just be able to talk without kids interrupting every 5 seconds. And
Mm-hmm.
we get such clarity. It goes back to, again, you get re-energized by that big vision again. You go back to like, hey, why are we doing this? What are we looking for? What's the struggles? What? Let's look at the big vision. And then you can push through some of those day-to-day challenges. I feel like once you've had that reset and you go, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this. You to get back to your why again,
Yeah.
right? That unplugging, and you get to do that now too. So you and I both spent some time down in Florida, Mike. Talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that. How's that snowbirding thing been for you?
I'm not officially a snowbird. I usually only go down for a week, or I mean, even I went down for a weekend last week.
Okay,
Um, it's just getting down there. It's getting away. It's just turning the brain off and being able to just relax,
yeah,
which is really big for me. Um, yeah, I love having a place down in Florida. It's
yeah.
it's so convenient. I basically have a private jet at Allegiant airport. I mean, I
That's
just fly with a bunch of random people I don't know, but it's a direct flight. So
yeah, pretty much the same thing. Yeah, if they had a point system there, I mean, good lord, you'd be number one medallion or whatever it is, right?
yes.
Gold, platinum, silver, all wrapped up in one. Yeah,
So yeah, it's really nice. Bring my son down there, or I'll go down there just to relax myself, and I use that as a way to recharge.
yeah, that's awesome, man. And what Mike's describing, so we bought a place down near down by Tampa area probably back in 2020. I think we bought it right before COVID
Mhm.
happened. And then it was like all of these other people saw what we were doing. They're like, wait a minute, I can Airbnb this thing when I'm not there. And it pays for itself. And then when I want to use it, I can use it. And now we have like I was just joking because somebody else was texting me this morning about how they're looking for a place right by us, Mike. And I'm like, well, you're going to join the Wisconsin real estate investor little hub down in Florida now because we've got a nice little tribe of people that have all either bought one or some people bought multiple
Mhm.
places down there now, and it's pretty fun to get down there. And sometimes I see you more in Florida than I do in Wisconsin.
Yes.
So, so that's great, man. And that's what real estate can do, guys. It's so much fun. There's so many different tools that you can pull, so many levers you can pull, and all that sort of stuff. So that's super exciting. Mike, before we wrap here, tell us. I'm interested to hear your best deal ever and your worst deal ever. I know I didn't prepare you. I should have prepared you for this, but I
No, I
didn't
don't.
know.
I don't need
I
prepared.
didn't know I was going to ask you this until
My
now.
my best deal ever. The easiest deal that I consider my best deal was it was a 6 unit that I talked to. He was wishy washy, and then finally he evicted a tenant. And I turned around. I bought it for 400 and sold it for 550. Um, and I did owner financing when I sold it to somebody for 75,000 with interest, and so that deal is still paying me to this day.
Oh, I love that.
Um, the worst deal I did, I bought a property, big property, Indian Trails, just real nice property. Flipped it, made it beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful property. I didn't have all my numbers in. The project manager or the gentleman that was helping me out manage the project didn't have all the invoices submitted. So when we went to list it, we're like, oh, we only have this much in it. In a bigger project, it's we still had enough in it. I think the sheet said we had like 60 in it, and it ended up being, I don't know, 80 or 90. Oh,
Okay.
and then it was just there was a lot of stuff. The tree trimmer went there and cut down all the trees after we had sold the property, so I
Oh
ended up
my
having to pay for
gosh.
like tree removal and all this stuff. When but I lost. I ended up losing close to 20,000 on that deal by not having all my paperwork together.
Well, dude, if the 20,000 is your worst deal ever, good Lord, Mike, you're doing something right. That's amazing. After 2 decades to only lose 20 G's in one deal, that's pretty good if that's your worst one, man.
Yeah, that's the
That's
worst one.
that's amazing. Well, how do you keep hitting base hits and home runs and not have these monster losses?
To all the realtors out there, I don't pay very much for commission.
Okay.
I'm a very yeah, realtors aren't going to like to hear this, but I don't pay much for commission. I have a real estate license, so that saves me on the sales side. And then on the buy side, if I can sell it myself, I don't charge myself commission either. Or I do reduced on the side. Like if it's my team selling it,
Mm-hmm.
um, I work my split back into the deal. So that helps out tremendously. And that goes back to like the new constructions.
Mm.
If you're paying 4% to sell a property that's $600,000, that's 24,000. Me as an investor, I'm typically only making between 50 and 75,000. I mean, I've
Mm-hmm.
done better deals, but so it's like, well, to know half the money that I would make, I have to pay a realtor to open a door on a new house that
Right.
we're not really even negotiating with. It's just
Mm-hmm.
literally, the realtors out there are probably going to get mad at me, but
Well, they
it
probably don't. They probably don't listen to this podcast anyway.
it that's one of the ways that I've been able to not lose a lot of money in a lot of deals.
Okay.
Because if you
So.
eliminate the commission, and even if I did not have a real estate license, I would recommend talking to people. If you're doing if you're doing volume, what can you negotiate? This is
Mm-hmm.
no different than meeting with a seller or meeting with anybody else. You should be doing this with your bank. You should be doing this with your insurance agency. You should be
Mm-hmm.
doing this when you book a flight. Maybe not if it's online, but
Yeah.
you should always be asking, what can you do? And when you do volume, you should be able to get a discount. You should be
Yeah.
able to negotiate. Hey, if you find me this house, I'll list it with you, at a reduced price. Or, I mean, just you want to give back. You don't want to be cheap. You don't want to be to the point where you're not um, providing value for them or
Correct.
being a pain in their butt.
Mm-hmm.
But it's at, what can you do? Like if you're
Yeah.
doing 5 deals a year, the average real estate agent probably only sells 20. That
Right.
would be 25% of their entire business. So they
For sure.
should take a discount on it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's such a great point, Mike, for investors out there. Again, agents aren't going to love it, but again, you should love it if you're an agent because you're getting volume and you don't have to do
Yeah.
anything. Like you don't have no marketing dollars into it. You have nothing
Yeah.
into it. You're just getting spoon fed a listing like this.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a fixed up property. Can you please go list this for me? Or a brand new construction. Please go put this on the market for me. Like
Yeah.
that's like cake, right? It's like
It's
there's not.
it's actually a gift. And one of the things with having extensive retail real estate background, every listing should give you 2 deals. It should give you the listing itself, and it should also give you another deal, whether it's a neighbor that you door knock, whether it's somebody drove by and got your information from the sign. I mean, minimum, you should get another deal from that. So yeah, you might take a reduced commission on a house that's $200,000-$300,000, but maybe you turn around and you tack on the neighbor wants to sell their house, and you pick up a buyer. Well, now you just picked up 2 more deals, and now those 2 deals are going to blossom into more deals.
Right.
So essentially, that one listing could catapult, a business for an entire quarter or a year for you.
Yeah, that's such a good point. So you said you don't, when you list them, are you not listing them yourself? The new
My
constructions or the flips that you're doing?
my team lists them, but I don't
Okay.
charge myself. I'll be honest. I charge myself $1,500, which is roughly the cost of doing business, paying for the professional photos, paying a transaction coordinator,
Mhm.
paying fees, and blah blah blah.
And then are you offering a buyer side commission then? So is the buyer
Yes,
side getting like usually 2% ish?
yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes a big difference, especially you start getting up in, like you said, a $600,000 house. You imagine now instead of you're paying 2% really plus $1,500.
And even that, I actually pay less money on the new constructions.
Okay. Wow. To the buyer side, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. So there's even bigger spread there on what you can. So guys, if you're running your numbers and you're using a full 6%, this is what I was talking about in the commercial at the start of this thing. I see this all the time. People will come to us and like, man, I can't make the numbers work. And we look at the numbers and we see like their closing costs. They got $8,000 in for closing costs. They got,
Mm-hmm.
full 6% in for realtor commissions for when they sell it, and it's like just overinflated. And I understand hey, be conservative if you're not comfortable, but don't be foolish. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're paying over 4%, I'm seeing now, if you're paying over 4% and you're an investor and you're doing some volume, that's probably, you're paying too much most likely
Yeah.
for these flips. So, and what Mike's just talking about here, negotiate. There's people, I know there's agents out there that'll do it for less because they get it. Like Mike's saying, they're getting the volume game. They're going to get other business from that. So such good stuff in here today, Mike. We always end with one question here. I know you got to get out of here and go do some deals and run a team. So favorite Wisconsin tradition or place to visit. And the reason that we ask this question is we have people out of state that listen to this. And so they might want to invest here in Wisconsin. And so we just got to let them know a little bit about the state and what this place is all about, man.
I would say my favorite thing to do in Wisconsin is to be on the water.
Oh yeah, dude.
In the summer in Wisconsin on the water it's wonderful.
It is.
Florida's beautiful, but it's different.
Not in the
It's
summer. It's
different
not
here.
beautiful. The summer it's awful. It's so hot. It is so hot. Yeah. I guess I took it for granted. I didn't travel at all as a kid. We went up north once a year. That was like our travel. And then when we got started going down to Florida and stuff, we have some neighbors from Georgia, and I'm like, "Oh, do you guys ever go like on the boat, wakeboarding, ski, and all that kind of stuff?" To like, yeah, if you want snake bites and alligators, then you do. And I'm like, "You got like they're everywhere. Like they're everywhere, dude. You don't swim or do any of that stuff down there." I'm like, "Oh, that's crazy. Up here, we just jump in. The worst thing that's going to get us is maybe a little musky bite here or there.
Maybe a leech.
Maybe a leech. Might get a leech on you. Not the end of the world, right?"
I'll
So
smell the salt.
yeah, we're pretty fortunate here in Wisco. So I agree with you. It's becoming that time of year to start getting back on the water and get out there. So it's a great time to be in Wisconsin. So guys, this has been an awesome episode. If you guys got some value out of this, again, this is the conversation for people that could get them started in this game and change them and their family's trajectory forever. So please share the episode. Let's help people get the word out there. And not only that, this can also benefit you. If you're sharing this, people are going to know you're into real estate. So as Mike talked about, this you sharing this you could care less about anybody else getting value out of this, but for you selfishly, you can get a couple deals from this from people knowing that you're into the real estate investing game. So please share this episode. Mike, if anybody wants to get in touch with you and talk to you about any of this stuff related to real estate and they need a hand up, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you, man?
Best way would be reaching out to me at mike@easyhomesale.com. That's I have somebody that my assistant goes through my emails. You might try to call me. You might try to text me. I might get to it. I might not
Yeah.
see it. It might go through. Whereas the email, it's got another set of eyes actually looking at it.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. So we'll get that added in the show notes, Mike at easysale.com.
Easy
And
home
then
sale.
easyhomesale.com. I am sorry about that, Mike. Good thing you corrected me there. AI will pick that up and put the wrong thing in the show notes here. All right. Awesome, guys. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.